Life isn't only black and white. Somewhere in the grey lies the truth. Where perspectives collide and stories connect. Welcome to the Black, White and Grey podcast. Today we have Billie Quinlan.
Hi.
It's all about sex.
It's always all about sex.
I can't wait.
Hey, I think perspectives are going to collide today. Go on, Anna. Go on, Anna.
I've been super excited to see you today. I just, from a student point of view, and also from entrepreneur side as well.
A student of what?
A student of life.
Oh, I see that.
I was going to say student of sex. I was like, okay.
At this age, it's never too late to
I
learn,
think we all
right?
are
Never
students of
too-
sex.
Yeah.
So you have books about sex, and your business is sex related.
Yes.
Right. So let's start. Perhaps how did it all start for you? How did you decide
before
to?
your audience just think I'm like a porn star or something.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong, but yeah, not my profession.
How did you think that you were an expert to teach others about sex and how to
What
pleasure
qualifies
ourselves?
you to be an expert on sex?
Yes.
I actually wasn't, and that was the whole point.
Right.
Yeah, so we started the business, my co-founder and I started the business in the end of 2017, beginning of 2018, and it came about really unexpectedly. Wasn't the business I was going to start, wasn't the business I thought I'd ever be in. But in 2017, I joined a business accelerator called Zinc, and you know it, yeah. And the premise of that one, it was their very first accelerator, and the premise was, how do we transform the mental and emotional health of women and girls globally? And I was so called to this mission and felt, this is exactly my purpose, what I want to spend my time on. I don't know what the business is going to be, but I'm really open to it, and it doesn't feel like there's anything more important for me to work on.
Yeah.
And we got on this program, and for 2 weeks we had this really intense boot camp. It was like 9 hours a day, lecture after lecture after lecture of all the different things that impact women's mental and emotional health.
Right.
And there's everything from financial instability to schizophrenia. Like,
Wow.
it was the full spectrum. Yet there was this glaringly obvious piece missing:
Sex.
sex.
Right.
And I was like, how are we not talking about sex?
Yeah.
When 1 in 4 women globally are, you know, survivors of sexual violence, when
wow.
this is something that is so integral to our identity, how we relate to other people. This just feels like the classic, you know, at school it's all about procreation and the fear, and so we're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And the reason it was so topical for me, or like so obviously missing for me and important, was I left investment banking in 2016 after being sexually assaulted. And that had a huge impact on my mental and emotional health.
Cool.
I'm
And-
sorry, without leading into it too much, was that a colleague?
Yes.
And a superior?
Yes.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, I know, how obvious.
No.
No, I mean, it
it's
is,
these
yeah.
two
There's a
structures.
correlation with that. Anyway.
Yeah.
Did that was that resolved and you feel at peace with that?
You know what, and we'll come on to this, but you said
Yeah.
I wrote books about it.
Yeah.
The book that we just published this year, we
Yeah.
changed names, we changed details, but our US publisher is now doing a whole legal read, and they feel a bit exposed because of how it could be connected back.
Yeah.
So is it resolved? I mean, there was no resolution. The HR said, he's senior and he's our biggest earner. We can move you to New York.
Oh, right.
So that's the
Wow.
kind of, you can't even imagine that still
Wow.
happens.
That's
but it still
enabling.
happens. Yeah. So it's resolved in my mind because I've done a lot of healing
I
and
think that's
worked
all
through
that's
it.
important, though, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't care about that person anymore. It's
Yeah.
out of my mind. It's only been quite interesting because it's come back up with the book. But that is why. So on Zinc, I was like, why are we not talking about sex?
Yeah.
And then me and my co-founder, she lost her virginity through rape when she was 15.
Yeah.
And it wasn't the stranger danger. It was a boyfriend, but it's just non-consensual. And that's really confusing as well. And we didn't really have much education around that.
Yeah.
So we were like two angry feminists sitting down
Yeah.
at the table being like, why are we talking about sex? Why is there no expert here to talk about this?
Oh God.
And then we were like, fuck it, we're going to do it.
Are you still angry feminist?
I'm a very angry feminist.
You can have some anger.
I'm a very
No, but
angry
I
feminist.
love the fact that there are, I had a best friend, a really good friend at uni. Females talk about sex all the time.
Yeah.
Perhaps sometimes probably more than males do at times.
100%.
And then we were sat discussing how we lost our virginity, and we were like, oh yeah, this, and then she was like, oh, my uncle when I was 13.
Oh my gosh.
And then that moment we just went really quiet. and I didn't know what to say, and you don't know whether you apologize, and she's like, yeah, be over it and stuff like that. And it happened in Wales, and then she's like, it was really, yeah, and then that is so important. And who knows how that impacted her life, and things moved on anyway. She's incredibly successful.
My view on it is, and just temporarily, we'll get back to your story, but is like, as soon as you sexualize any human being at whatever age they're interfered with, it's like a clock starts. And what you hope is that started in like a meaningful, loving way, collaboratively.
Yeah.
And then if bad stuff happens, it will still happen, but hopefully you're not shaped as terminally as that experience where somebody at 13's gone click, and it's so abnormal.
It's so
and
abnormal.
the brain always reaches to normalize stuff. So trying to like reverse, take the shame away, and all the shame gets piled onto the victim ultimately.
Shame
is, I think, is a key word here. But yeah, please carry on.
No, I think that's such an important point, and that's why it does have the ability to shape us. It does shape us. Our sexuality is a living, breathing part of who we are.
That's
so,
cool thing. It's like almost like an organ, right?
Yeah.
It's like, wow, yeah.
Do you feel like it stops how we start our sex life? It stops us from being sort of, it impacts how we become comfortable around a male or a female later stage, and how we want to explore sex. Do we? Could it impact negatively? We don't want to explore sex. We don't want to have sex as often as we could do, or impact us that we want to have sex all the time. Do you think it's vice versa, or both are? I think sort of collide?
It can be either or,
Yeah.
but I think it's even bigger than just confined to our sex life. I think it really shapes us as an individual. It shapes how we move through the world. It shapes how we relate to other people. If we've been super hypersexualized as a young kid, that shapes how we see our place in the world. I am just a sexual being for the pleasure of other people.
Why does that happen, though?
Because it depends how young, but there's so much theory around sort of attachment styles. That sort of happens very early on, but even that feeds into our sexuality and our relationship dynamics. But it combined with the sort of social structural messaging that we have around sex, women, the objectification of women, you can either have this really positive relationship to it, and to your point, see it as like a loving exchange between two people, or you can see it as my job as a woman or even a man is to service, is to pleasure the other. And that then relates to how you connect. Is this person a friend or a foe? Is this person just a sexual object? Am I just a sexual object in this person's eyes? It then shapes how you create male friendships or female friendships or same-sex friendships, If you're just a sexual being that has been taken advantage of when you were younger, or even, in your to be honest, at any age,
Yes.
does that whole sex now just see me as this sexual object? Do I have to perform and live up to that, or do I have to shy away from that? Can I see them as a peer? Can I see them as someone that
especially when it's a broken friendship bond, right?
Yeah.
Then people start, because one thing I've noticed about a couple of female friends who have gone through sexual assault is, of course, like the light in the head will always be looking for that slightly off energy.
Danger.
And in some senses, some have obviously shied away from it, and some kind of almost try and draw it out because it's like, it's better the beast and then you can see it and go, there it is, I knew it. And it's just like, it's almost like a preoccupation with that danger to try and take some kind of control over it, as opposed to retreating. Because you don't want to retreat. Like, that's like you may as well be slow marching to your grave at that point in time, because you're not expressing yourself. So you have to live, as you say, and interface with people. But when the trust is a close bond that betrays you, I mean, who do you trust right at that point in time?
Exactly,
and if it's a family member, then it's just like, well, who
has my best
Yeah.
interests?
Who,
How do I create connection?
and what kind of rationale do you think comes out of people after that? Like, who did you feel was safe or you could trust on the back of your experience, or did you just trust knowledge and then educating yourself?
Great question. I became really terrified of men.
Yeah.
And I wasn't even really aware that I became terrified of men. Luckily, I had a beautiful upbringing with my dad. Like, I have a beautiful relationship with my dad.
Amazing.
So he created this very foundational stability with men for me. Like, I was
Amazing.
like, men are good. So even I had that experience, and it really shook me. Deep down, I knew, not all men, and there are good men out there. But for a while, I was really afraid and we talk about anger. I mean, I was angry with men. And it wasn't until a boyfriend about 3 years later. So actually, I was in a relationship at the time, completely withdrew from sex, because I was like, to the control point. I was like, I don't have any control over this anymore. So the only way I can do it is to withdraw. And now it relates to this really awful thing that happened. And then I just became really angry that someone had taken this thing from me. I was a very joyful sexual woman before that. Like it was a very playful part of me. I was very flirtatious.
Yeah.
And I became terrified of myself. Like I literally became terrified of myself. And this is what you hear about so much with sexual assault is people think it's their fault.
Yes.
Victim blaming.
Yes.
I was gonna say,
Yes, indeed.
because I think part of that is, which was gonna be my question after your point, was how much responsibility would you, because you often hear people say, especially from a man's point of view, oh, she's dressed like that, so she deserves it, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. And
so I was gonna say, how much of that is to be true, and how much responsibility should a woman take or not? Like, how does that look?
Yeah, zero.
Yeah.
You can dress any which way. You could walk down the road naked and you're not saying, I want you to have sex with me. I want you to touch me. And maybe you are, but with my consent. No point are you wearing something and saying, I want to be manhandled or assaulted. That's not what you're saying when you're putting your makeup on, if you're dressing in lingerie. Like that's an expression of how you want to express yourself.
Yeah.
Fine. I mean, does that mean that you're going to get more looks? Are people, because it's out of the ordinary, right? If you see someone naked walking down the street, you're going to get looked at. That you can't control, but at no point are you responsible for another person putting their hands on you without your consent.
I agree completely. In Portugal, we have nudist beach. So there's Spain.
People
It's
quite
so common.
respectful,
It's so common for us to be naked. Like I think being naked and being comfortable with your own body is something that we learn from a young age. Europeans love to be naked. Like you see nudist beach or topless constantly. So I think when you see people here instantly say, "Oh, she's flirting. She wants it. She wanted it. Or she deserves that."
Well, that's
I
very
think
much
it's
like
really
hoiking a projection onto somebody and then sort of fishing your own.
of course.
It's absolving yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, and I noticed that there's a certain breed of man who will do that, right? Like they'll heavily project on their intentions and search for any reflection. And if that person's feeling unconfident and sort of stays in that environment longer than they should. Because also the thing that's so scary about sexual predators is awful language, but they're kind of A/B testing their model. They get a bit more emboldened. They get a bit better at manipulating people because they're doing it
constantly
all the time.
Yeah.
And so if you're naive to it, and let's say it's a corporate culture, and they go, I've got power, I can make promises, lead you along this path, I'm your friend. It's like they're like running a playbook at that point in time. And
Absolutely.
It's so interesting that you say that because the assault happened. I didn't tell anyone for almost a year because I was just so ashamed.
Yeah,
and
of
to your
course.
point, I was like, what did I do?
Yeah.
What did I do
The
that
first
this
question.
happened? Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was I wearing? Was I giving too many signals? So the first thing I did was dress in all black. I went from wearing like bright colours to literally black trousers, black socks, black shoes,
You literally tried to hide,
I
right?
literally tried to hide. I stopped laughing. I stopped going out in the evenings. Like I literally became invisible, which obviously really hurt my career. And then I didn't tell anyone. I found out that the guy that assaulted me was recruiting for an all-female sales team from all the junior staff.
Oh dear.
And I was like, this guy is grooming. Like, he is going to do it again. I'm probably not the first person. Maybe it wasn't me. And actually, by this time, I'd been working on my mental health, so I was feeling a bit stronger again. And that's when I went to HR and said, look, this happened. This is why I'm speaking up.
Hang on, he's still at work. He's still in the office.
I don't know because it was almost a decade ago. But
I have
he
to
very
say that
well
how
could be.
brave you were to even protect others. Like some people would have been perhaps not quite selfish,
But that's
but
sometimes what you
it's
step
how
up
you
for,
deal,
right? Is
isn't
you
it?
go, actually, if it's
She
not
stepped
about
up
me.
for other women to help them out. Well done to you. For that.
Thank you. And coming back to the very first start of this conversation, that is why I started my business Ferly because, your question was where did you become an expert to teach other people about sex?
Yeah.
I didn't. I was a woman that was assaulted who had her sexuality stripped out from her and came onto this accelerator where we were talking about women's mental health and no one was talking about sex and the importance of it. And I thought, who is championing that woman? Who is creating the solutions for these women? I'm going to be a big sister. I'm not going to be the expert. I'm just going to be the person that collates all the information and tries to make it easier for the women behind me to improve their mental health around their sexuality, to improve their relationship to sex.
I love that.
And then along the way, I've learned a thing or two about sex and I've become an expert, but at the beginning, I definitely wasn't. It was just...
Which sort of angle did you learn about sex? Is it about how to be, comfortable, know how to be expressive with your sex life after the assault, or did you learn more practical stuff like techniques and stuff? So which way is it?
Did you improve your
the
technical
best sex
ability?
positions, the 101 Cosmo tips. No, for our experience, much more around the mental and emotional component of it. So there's roughly 51% of women struggle with sexual dysfunctions.
Yes.
And that can be everything from low libido, pain during sex, sexual anxiety, and inability to orgasm, something called anorgasmia. And it's so common, and it's like double the amount of men that suffer with sexual dysfunction. Yet we have so little language about this. I mean, we all know about erectile dysfunction, we all know about premature ejaculation, but our understanding of female sexual dysfunctions is so much lower. And quite often the women feel, oh, this is just a part of being a woman. Low desire is just a part of being a woman. Women aren't that interested in sex. Because that's the kind of social conditioning we've
That's
had.
a lie.
Yes,
No, that's a
thank
big
you.
lie. You know that's a
Absolutely,
lie.
it's a lie.
I think once women are comfortable, we actually probably
100%.
like sex as much as males do.
more.
Potentially.
We're
I know
hypersexual.
multiple
Yeah.
guys who've dated beyond their like match, and they're like,
Whoa.
tap me out.
100%, much more.
But I honestly felt that women, when I was growing up, that we were intending to be for one man only, right? Because and we need to procreate for kids. So, but biologically, I thought that our libido was meant to be lower than males, and I thought that actually it's not important whether we find sex pleasurable or not, whether we orgasm or not, because I've got many friends that said they never orgasm, and others like, oh, maybe once or twice in my life, and then I thought maybe it's just the way we were made biologically, just so that we can take care of our young. As
that's kind of
animals.
fucked up, right? Because if an orgasm exists, like it could and should therefore be something to be explored. You wouldn't just
Also-
go, it's a quirk of biology. We just seem to occasionally really enjoy it. It's like,
We have 8,000 nerve endings in our clitoris.
Really?
Yeah.
fantastic-
Like that thing is
fantastic-
made to orgasm.
Fantastic tool. It's a fantastic tool.
We thank
Yeah.
God.
but all we told as teenage boys is you'll never find it. You'll never find
And we
it.
have
It's
to learn,
really
right?
not that hard to
No,
find.
but that's the clitoris. But the
Fantastic.
G-spot, it's very rare to get there. They rarely
Look,
find
you've
it.
got your 8,000 nerve endings. You don't get greedy.
We're going
now.
now.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
We're going
come
now.
on.
We're going now.
Is orgasms important though?
They're not important and they shouldn't be the goal, but everyone should be able to and have access to an orgasm.
Yeah,
Because they are a beautiful part of the experience.
Yeah.
So if you have anorgasm, if you have an inability to orgasm, it's not the goal, and sex can still be incredibly pleasurable.
Yeah.
Pleasurable sex is the goal.
Pleasurable
I
sex.
agree.
Yeah.
Pleasurable sex
What
is the
takes
goal.
place? How do you get there?
Hey, I can't answer that. That's for every individual person to say what
It's
pleasurable
unique to
sex
the
is.
individual.
So unique to the individual, which is why it's one of the things that we discovered when we were building our business is that young women define good sex as having a good sexual partner who knows what he's doing.
He's doing.
Yeah.
He's doing. And I'm like, how is that man or boy meant to know
Or how you giving
your
that
body?
person that
So,
much
and why are you
control?
giving them that much control?
Are we supposed to teach them what we want them to do?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
This guy would be like,
No,
hallelujah.
but it's interesting, right? Because in same-sex female relationships, often the feedback comes back is, a woman just understands a woman's biology better, and they'll do things that are different because they're almost like in lockstep with understanding how your body reacts, right?
It's something like 64% of the time in a heterosexual relationship, a woman will orgasm, and in a same-sex relationship, it's something like 88% of the time.
Wow.
So
I'm a bit
yeah.
confused here. So women have to tell or should tell men
How to pleasure
how
them?
to pleasure them,
Yeah.
but women often complain that a man is not taking the lead in most things.
I think
It's confusing.
It is
I think
How do we
confusing.
work this out?
being from the guilty side of that question is that I think there's an expectation that you should know
There is.
what to do with us.
That's not fair.
Like you should understand by now.
But then if you don't know what to do with you, like how are we
How are
going
we
to...
Yeah,
supposed to-
no, but honestly,
that's a valid question.
yeah, honestly, and this is where I'm on women's side 99.9% of the time.
We get a percent.
But you get a point. You get a
We get a
point.
point.
On,
Zero
point
point
on,
one.
On teaching.
You know what I mean?
on this.
But
I'm like,
when
it's
that-
really hard for you unless a
100%.
woman. But it's your responsibility as a man to make her feel
Oh my
comfortable
God.
enough that she
Now we're
can
here.
open
No,
up.
but
and
I've
share.
got...
Hang on a minute.
I think that,
No.
like,
But
what-
I'm with Billy here. You need to make us feel comfortable for us to express our
But
sexual.
what I will say is
side.
I think if you tune in
Life ain't
to
fair, babe.
our conversation, you get a sense of what to react. Like you should just be tuning in, right? Like pin drop listening and going, I'm following the action reaction cycle to try and navigate
communication
this.
isn't all verbal.
Yes.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say.
yes.
Yeah. Some of it is non-verbal, right?
I agree.
So if a woman is moving your hand this way and you just gonna be like, oh, I'm laser focused on putting my hand there.
FHM said this when I was
Yeah,
15.
exactly.
So
That's different. So that's almost like you're doing what you want.
Yeah.
I'm trying to really.
Oh, you're a good lover. Here it comes. Here
No.
we go. Here it
Certified lover
comes.
boy.
He's like, let me tell you.
No, I am really trying to understand the notion of the man making the woman feel.
But does it diminish you to have like a conversation that it doesn't have to be a verbal conversation, but again, does it diminish you to be picking up on signals and working with that? Because as you're right, like nobody wants the a la carte menu to go, okay, I've been studying and now I'm good to go.
I'm more on flow. So I'm more
flow.
on just flow. So I'm not trying to place responsibility on one or the other. I think a bit of equality and flowing should just take precedence as it is.
Yeah, totally.
And that's, for me, that's what's key. But if we articulate in a way where the man is responsible, for me, there's a lot of pressure on men anyway.
There is, yeah.
So doing that as well is just added pressure, especially to younger teenagers, late teenagers.
If you're an emotionally aware man, I think you're probably doing it organically, right? But there are a lot of men who are very, you see this a lot in casual sex as well, one night stands. It's like, I'm here, I've got a goal, I want to have an
They
orgasm.
goal seek. Yeah, it's like a
Yeah.
spreadsheet. They're like, here's the goal seek.
And they're not really particularly interested in her pleasure.
Yeah.
And, they're kind of one-track mind. Maybe they're a bit drunk. They go straight to penetration. They go bang, 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 bang. They have an orgasm and they're like, oh, she made some noises. Great.
So what about
She
the
having a great
woman
time.
that wants a one night stand? Let's flip the roles.
No, I'm 100% for casual sex.
Okay.
I'm 100% for casual sex.
Okay.
It's just,
Different intentions, right? Because
Yeah.
she can't goal seek in the same environment because she goes, I can't guarantee that this will be any good because I don't fucking know. Whereas he might just go, yeah.
Billy, do you think it affects our mental health as well when it comes to casual sex? Because I suppose that as long as, and I've learned something with Ed this week, it's like don't impose expectations. You know exactly what the rules are, typically, generally.
The rules of what?
Just
I think
generally
of
life.
engagement with people.
Engagement
Like,
with
if you're
people.
talking to them,
Yeah.
if somebody goes, I'm never going to have a relationship with you, I'll cut my own leg off before I do. You need to listen to that message. They're
Yeah.
telling you something. And it's like this, if you're okay with the casual relationship,
Yeah.
proceed. If you're expecting them to suddenly magically U-turn and you're going to try and fix them, I would caution that you should listen to what they're saying because they're not saying it for no reason.
And he made a point that women think that we can change men's mind. At some point, we're able to modify things, but
Fix them, or you know what I mean?
yeah, fix, change their mind. No, just adopt, mold. But what I'm saying is that, do you think casual sex should be done with caution, for instance, because it's those are the moments that sometimes, unfortunately, sexual assault does occur, right? And then things get a bit confusing. Communication becomes a bit blur because I don't know, someone's tipsy or someone is not quite in the right moment or the mood or things get a bit clouded. Do you
Yeah.
think that is?
Well, it's interesting to say that, like, we see this a lot on college campuses in the US, and as soon as alcohol is involved, you are putting yourself at a different kind of risk, right?
Yeah.
And I've read a really interesting research paper recently. I can't remember the exact details, but women, just because of our biology, are more predisposed to getting blackout drunk. And when you're
Okay.
blackout, you're still functioning,
Oh,
Yeah.
right? So it doesn't mean that you're on the floor, you're just gone behind the eyes, right? So you're no longer
You're-
present,
you're
you're no longer
conscious,
aware.
your conscious
Your
brain's-
consciousness is gone,
it's
yeah.
gone.
Oh.
Now, in that state, you are very vulnerable
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you don't actually know what you're consenting to, what you're not consenting to.
Yeah.
And that makes it really hard for both individuals in that experience, right?
Yeah.
He's also drunk. It's hard to do that non-verbal communication. It's hard to be really aware.
Yeah.
Well, you're not aware.
You don't know exactly. You woman who's blackout, you don't know what you're doing. So I'm not saying at any point here that who the responsibility lays with or that women are ever responsible for it, but it means that it's very blurry. And that's why it's so hard to prosecute sexual assault cases or rape cases.
Yeah.
Especially in
because
those.
That's super
biology.
interesting though. You brought in some really like interesting evidence because my view is like after student union nights and stuff, it's the guys who suddenly gravitated towards the women who are like eyes rolling in the back of the head. I'm like,
Yes.
what's wrong
know.
with you? You like,
Yeah.
especially when they do that
Yeah.
like look side and then they kind of do the hand grab thing. I'm
Yeah.
like, you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But I agree.
And they make me
Before
so
we go
angry,
any
but it's
further,
just
I
like
do
so
agree.
weak. It's so it's so shifty.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'm
Yes.
trying to see the point that Billy made, which I'm trying to kind of fine tune, is the blackout point. Now, if it doesn't look like that type of woman and she still appears functional, because like you said, you're still functional. So you're not there, but you've blacked out. That's the grey area, isn't it? And how do men or how do people work around that?
Surely she slurs, right? I don't know,
Yeah.
But
did
that's
you ever-
just alcohol in general. If I'm drinking and you're drinking and we're both slurring,
So I don't
and
drink,
we're-
so I don't know.
No, just as a
Yeah.
drinker, and we're having a good time. It's just a good time. Now we could have started sober, both of us, and slipped in. And I'm a drinker, and slipped into drinking together. But we both appear to be having a good time. So we're both going down that road. Now, like Billy said, which I didn't know, that blackout period could have started for the woman a long time before I
Yeah.
recognise it.
Yeah.
And all I'm seeing is a good time. Let's
Yeah.
get another drink. Let's get another drink.
And I don't mean to be like funny, right? But like, even just on the potential size difference as well. If I'm drinking drink for drink,
Yeah.
and I weigh 80 kilograms and she weighs 50 kilograms and hasn't eaten before
Yeah.
she's gone out, and I've eaten
Yeah.
a big meal with my mates, it's like you can't even do apples
It's
for
not
apples
equal-
on
there's no
that,
equality.
let alone the actual biological.
No, everyone's like you, Ed.
So how do you? Yeah, no,
I mean,
I'm not
you are
thinking about
such-
that, and
yeah.
I'm not having a conversation about did you have dinner before you come. When I was younger, I would do that now.
Yeah.
And that's just the responsible.
It's maturity
adult in
comes with that.
maturity.
You just get an energy right, and it's just like it goes into a vulnerability state, and then I'm like,
It's not
I feel-
appropriate.
It's not a turn
Yeah.
on. It's not appropriate. I feel bad for you. I feel it's like a caretaker, and it's just like
Yeah.
this is the guys who can kind of take the woman who's not able to stand home. It's like that's not a turn on. That's awful. She just needs to get home. This is not
Yeah.
fun.
100%.
Yeah,
And
I
that's the
agree.
thing. Like, it is, when you're at college, you're like in your early 20s, your brain hasn't fully developed. Like,
That
there is a lot of
true.
drink culture.
That is true.
There is blurred lines. So it's
Yeah.
like, just err on the side of caution.
Yeah.
And also take accountability for your own behaviour as well.
Yeah.
So, and I'm really excited about this movement of young generation not drinking as much.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
I think it's amazing. I think it's really amazing because, as a woman, you are so much more vulnerable. And as I said, it's not your fault. I never
No.
would put any place of fault, but it just means you don't have clarity.
Yeah.
It just means you don't have
Education,
clarity.
right.
So you don't know what exactly went down. You don't know what position you were in, and therefore it makes it harder to prosecute. It makes it harder for you to whatever. So I just think the fact that young people aren't drinking as much is amazing. I think the fact that we're having conversations about consent is amazing. I think that we need more male role models, like you
Yeah.
had saying,
Yeah.
if
do.
she's really drunk, don't take her home. Don't just
and
think.
Michael.
He's like, but wait, is she too drunk?
Let me just explore this grey area here.
Breathalyzer, so I can get some data.
How many fingers am I holding up? She sort of got it right.
Yeah. When you mention about the legalities of it, it's actually quite. It's brilliant, because I'm a solicitor, and then at times, and I was talking to one of my colleagues actually this week. We had dinner, lunch, and he said like the cases of rape are so. Yeah, there's an increase in that. Sometimes there's a feeling that at times men are victim of it because they are actually women go because they want to get a payout out of these men, which are those that are
Well,
successful.
there's a film about it. Do you see a guy called Brian Banks, who I met, and he was at college, and there was a false rape accusation. He went to jail for 8 years, came out, and then got exonerated. He was going to go on the NFL, and then he played a game.
Yes,
of
I watched
NFL
that
at the
movie.
end. But that is the few, not the many,
So,
right?
yeah,
It's like-
but there's an increase of rape cases, like a huge increase of sexual assault accusations and things like that. But what happens is when you go to court, sometimes, and the rare occasion, there are some videotapes of what has occurred during that room. So now that you've mentioned that, sometimes we don't know when a woman has blacked out. Like when we see in court that she appears to enjoy herself, she appears to be involved, then that means this guy is we can understand from his perspective why he feels there was consent there, even though it wasn't a clear yes or no communication, not being nonverbal. She can make noises, she seems to be enjoying herself. Let's close this case. But now that you've mentioned a blackout, it could be that potentially we could be prosecuting more people.
Yeah, I mean, you're not if you're in that blackout state, you're not actually consenting because you don't have the ability to consent. Because
Correct.
you're completely gone.
Yeah.
We
But
should really-
the thing that makes rape traditionally really hard to prosecute is that you can orgasm even if you're not having a good time.
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So a lot of this, a lot of
Yes.
cases back in the day, and this has changed as the science has become a bit more evolved and we've understood this more, but it's something called arousal non-concordance. So it means that your brain and your body are doing something different.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And this is actually incredibly common in women, actually. It's like something like 90% of the time you're in arousal non-concordance, but you can have an orgasm even if you're being raped.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, well, she must have liked it. She had an orgasm.
Got
And it's
it.
like those two things aren't a correlation.
I love this.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to work out how we get around this, because it is very grey, isn't it?
Michael, you want to know how
because
we resolve this
not just for
situation
me,
with the
but
grey?
There's victims out there that obviously are falling victim to it, both male and female. There's men falling into a trap thinking that it's consensual.
But you know how we get around this? We get around it through education.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get around it through education and communication and awareness. And so that's why, platforms like Ferly are so important.
Yeah, can you give us a strap line for it? So if you were going to sort of do the VC pitch.
Yeah, so it's actually a sex therapy app for women.
Yeah.
So it focuses on sexual dysfunctions. So if you're experiencing any of those pieces that we spoke about earlier, low libido, anxiety around sex, inability to orgasm, sexual anxiety, pain, during sex, you'd come to traditionally see a sex therapist. There's something like a 2.5 year wait list on the NHS.
Wow.
Who's waiting 2.5 years?
God.
It's so long.
What you're getting at the end of it as well. from the
Exactly.
NHS, yeah.
And it's incredibly expensive if you go private. You could be like, for a good therapist, and a good therapist is worth their weight in gold, you're maybe paying like $250 a session. You need upwards of 12 sessions. It's a lot of money. Our app is under six. I think it's actually at the moment it's like £40 a year. And we have worked with some of the best experts within this field and created self-serve content. So it's very much like a Headspace or Calm, but for your sexual well-being.
Okay.
Amazing.
So you can follow these programs, you can go through the clinical interventions, but you can do it at your own time, in your own home. It's never going to be a replacement for in-person therapy.
Yeah.
But boy, it can take you a long, long way
Amazing.
and give you
Especially
something
on that
right then and
waiting
there.
list.
Is that why? Because you mentioned before backstage that you went to LA to America. Is that why you went to America, so that you could develop your business there in a way that you potentially saw that you can do in the UK?
Yeah, so we're a consumer app.
Yeah,
And the US is just a way bigger market.
absolutely. Yeah.
So we raised some money in 2018. We raised some more money in 2019. We actually had the founder of Calm as one of our early investors.
Michael.
Yeah, Michael.
amazing.
Yeah, lovely, great friend of mine.
Good name.
And
Great
what's
name.
that?
Yeah, great name.
Great name, Michael Acton Smith.
Just Michael.
Michael. Yeah. And they were very keen on us moving to the US. They'd had real success with Calm. Freudian slip there, Headspace.
Yeah.
They had real success with Calm, going over there, building it from the stateside. There's way more capital available in the US
Absolutely,
for consumer
yeah.
products, or there was. We sort of then entered the worst phase ever of the COVID 2020,
Yeah.
2023
Yeah.
years. But yeah, we were seeing a way bigger uptick in the US than we were in the UK. They have a
Amazing.
different kind of relationship to sex out there and how they speak about it. What was interesting, we knew we'd be able to capture the coasts, so like the LAs, California, New York, that they're very progressive, obviously
Yeah.
very left. We knew we'd be able to capture those.
Yeah.
Our fear was, how are we going to get middle America?
Yeah.
And what we saw was such a huge response from Christian women because there's so much religious sexual trauma
Yeah.
because of all this messaging around,
Internalized
purity.
Yeah.
You can't masturbate,
Yeah.
that's sin.
Yeah.
And I remember I had this conversation where this like seared into my brain. I'll always remember this. This woman rang me and she was so distraught. So I used to do like user feedback sessions.
Yeah.
So you could book a call with me. So she booked one of these calls and she was like, I need to share something. I just feel so embarrassed. I'm such a bad person. And she was like going on and on and on. I was like, has she fucking murdered someone? Like, what is she going to disclose on this call? And she was like, I masturbated at lunch.
Good on you, girl.
I know.
I'm glad she enjoyed herself.
Yeah, I was like, get it. And she was like, it's so sinful. And I was like, God, what has happened here? What have we done?
Yeah.
So yeah, the middle America
It's
opened up for us.
weaponized guilt, isn't it? It's like, man,
Yeah.
there's people murdering people and all sorts. It's like, I promise you, God's not watching
Yeah,
you
but I don't know.
waiting to.
Religion's religion.
Religion,
Religion's religion.
it's very
Complicated.
conflicting.
But like anything, right? Like
It's
you
very
can
conflicting.
load like systems of thought into people's brains, and it weaponizes against them. And one thing I'd
100%.
say that happens, I think, with men, and possibly of cause of some difficulty, is this binary relationship with like, you better shuffle to the heterosexual side, because if there's a faint inkling that
You're definitely gay.
that you're gay, then you're on that team, right? And I think some men probably internalize a lot of that shame, guilt, self-loathing until they can either get off that path. Like, I've got mates and we're like, I'm not saying anything, but you know, if you came out, that would be fine.
Yeah.
We probably would understand that that seems to fit where
Yeah.
you're at. They will
Never come out.
probably not, or not for a while. In fact, the headmaster of my old school came out at 65.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He had 2 kids.
Wow.
He spent 65 years of his life like just
Yeah.
and it would all internalize as guilt and shame. It's like that
eats a person
that
alive.
is a
Yeah.
person's life. That's a
Yeah.
life wasted,
But
right?
you
I
know
mean,
what?
men won't even, so many men, heterosexual men, not gay, heterosexual, certain heterosexual, won't even open to the idea of a little bit of anal play. Little finger in the bum. Not even talking about as far as pegging, but even pegging. There's a reason that gay men love that. It feels great. There's so much pleasure in your anus.
Fingers don't need to go in there.
But it's quite an attitude of like, if anything goes in my bum, it means I'm gay. Rather than like, there's a huge amount of pleasure just to be had in there. It doesn't mean you're gay,
So
but that's... Michael's like...
But I think
What do you mean about this?
no,
But
you
if
know,
you just get your
Billy
prostate
has a
examined
great point.
just to see how, you
Yeah,
know,
exactly.
it's medical.
Start with the prostate.
Start with the
yeah.
prostate examination. You get in your 40s, you know. It's,
Yeah,
And
you
then
keep
tell me
coming
how
back
it is.
every month for this prostate exam.
You know, you've written a couple of books.
One book.
Oh, there's.
with one to come out now.
We
Potentially.
have...
Come out in
Okay,
May.
so I got it. I'm looking at my notes. It's Pillow Talk is just a newsletter.
That's a newsletter. Yeah,
Newsletter.
yeah,
and then
that's a newsletter.
And the book is Turn Yourself On.
Yes.
What's that book about?
So the book is a sexual wellness manual for women. So it's 8 principles to find your power in the bedroom and beyond. So it's a guide for every woman. I honestly wish that we gave every girl this at like 13, 14 and just said like, this is your guidebook to a really healthy sex life. But
Amazing.
more importantly, this is your guide to connecting with yourself as a sexual person so that you can have power in every aspect of your life. Because what we see in the research is that women who are empowered outside of the bedroom are not often empowered in the bedroom. That doesn't correlate. Whereas women that are empowered sexually are like 100% of the time empowered outside of the bedroom. Because
It's a continuity,
But
right?
are you able to develop that point? Because sometimes people say that, you know, powerful men want to be dominated in the bedroom, and powerful women want to be dominated in the bedroom because you want quite the opposite of what you live in every day. Is that what you mean? Or
no,
or you
I mean being able to live authentically in full alignment with yourself and have full agency over your decisions and confidence.
Okay.
So when you know yourself sexually, you get rid of this shame, you get rid of this fear, you are comfortable with the fact that you are deserving of pleasure, you're able to give yourself that pleasure. That gives you a sense of knowledge around who you are. And to that point that we made earlier, so many people offhand their pleasure to the other sex, mostly women to men. You're giving away your power when you do that.
Okay.
Whereas when you know what brings you pleasure and you're comfortable to be able to communicate that and ask for what you want, you're far more empowered. And that translates into the other, we call it from the bedroom to the boardroom. But really, you know, it translates to other areas. Because if you can ask for what you want sexually, if you know you're worthy of pleasure.
But wait, but isn't it supposed to be like a give and take situation? So you go into a bedroom with a guy and you're like, okay, so this is what I like. You need to do this, so there's a foreplay, there's this, and there's that.
But you're sort of.
Wouldn't there be like an exchange of
you're
what
sort
he wants as well?
I think you're sort of. I think you're sort of procedurizing it, right? I
Yeah,
think, again,
I think
that's
I
turning
am.
into something quite heady.
I'm just like, I'm thinking about work now. I'm thinking, okay, so what we're going to do now is that I'm going to do this. This is what I like. And then
I think
shouldn't it
when
be
you're
like,
armed with knowledge, you can build in subtleties, right? Like I think once you've read that manual, you understand yourself. You're not constantly having to say to people, I like this. This is how I do things. This is me. You're still gonna have a conversation with somebody, right? So you may go, I love this one
It would be in a
thing.
soft way. I suppose the delivery would be different. But I mean, it's like you go to that room with a goal that you want to orgasm. And then you want to...
You want
But that's
to have
goal
pleasure.
seeking, right? That's goal
You want to have
seeking.
pleasure.
okay, that's pleasure. I want to have pleasure. And at that point, but this is what he needs to do
It can be
to tick the
two-way.
box. To,
We both want to have pleasure. Rather than, I don't know what brings me pleasure, so I'm completely abandoning myself and hoping that he's able to give that to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm going into this experience, no idea what he's going to do, how he's going to do it, whether I'm going to get pleasure. Instead, you're going into that, I know what brings me pleasure. And when this person asks
And
me,
it's like
what do I
guiding.
like? I can respond.
Mate, I
Guide.
promise you, every guy has a button that reminds him of when his mum's talked to him. If you say, don't do that, he will stop. Do you know what I mean? It's ambiguity where guys sneak, I'll keep creeping through the door. It's like, don't even think about doing that.
Yeah,
they'll go, oh shit, I'm being...
I think.
reprimanded.
But what did you do
but
for her to react like that,
that's
Edward?
that's the psychological aspect, isn't it? But I think.
Don't even think about doing that.
I think that, even just listening to you two go back and forth on that, I just think that what Billy was saying is just quite simple. You're literally going to read a manual about self, learn about self, and then you're just going to be. It ain't going to be as complex as a thought process. You're just going to have an internal confidence just to walk through and just be. And if something don't seem right, it's nothing to get up and walk away because you know yourself.
Yeah, true.
Exactly.
That's your boundaries.
Exactly. And not even necessarily need to walk away. You can redirect.
Or redirect.
Yeah,
you
you
can
know,
do whatever you want at that.
You know,
It's all
you're like,
control.
exactly.
It's control.
You're giving yourself power.
Yeah.
You're
You know
giving
the
yourself-
most dangerous thing I've ever seen happen that I think some females get into a relationship with the wrong kind of man about is that they get a tone where the moment they belittle the man, he always feels like he has to equal the score, right? They become vengeful. I've seen it happen with guys like, bump into each other in a club, whatever, man. That person internalises it. Don't speak to me like that.
Yeah, like,
Oh, who are you talking
The
to?
ego.
I'm going to wait outside. I'm
The
going to knock
ego.
you out, right? And so I sometimes like for instance, I remember being at a club and a guy bumped my partner at the time bumped into a guy. He looked at her and she was like, whatever. And then he was like, I need to turn this some way. He turned it
redirected
at
to
me,
you.
right? But it's like, you never want to be on the end of that vengeful streak because it's like, if he feels, this isn't the way it should be, but if he feels publicly shamed or embarrassed or whatever, they do this fucked up score settling thing. Whereas I noticed that, there's an energy where people are just a bit limp and they kind of go, well, whatever. And the kind of like pervert weird energy can't get the energy he needs out of it. He can't get the fight. He can't get the duality. He can't
That's
amp
what it
himself
is.
up.
It's a feedback loop.
Yeah, it's a feedback loop.
If you don't feed it back, it doesn't come.
Because I think it'd be interesting to take it a step further of like that almost like conflict resolution. If you do find yourself knowing yourself, but with one of these characters, how do we then disarm him? Because you could still get found by, as you say, you're just going to live your life. If some abuser finds you, it's like a robber finding you down an alleyway. You just need to go, shit, I don't want to be experiencing this for the first time either. I want to sort of think about what is available to me to disarm this situation.
Yeah. But you know what? Most cases of sexual assault and violence is done with someone you know.
Yeah.
Versus someone you
it
don't
is.
know.
So is it coercive?
And unfortunately, in most cases,
In some cases,
the same with children, is always
Yeah.
somebody, the abuser is always somebody you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
And you know what's
typically-
actually like talking about children really fucked up? That the case there's a rise in child sex abuse and the perpetrators are other children.
Yeah, I've seen
Yeah.
that.
And that is
Yes.
because of the rise of porn and how bad it's
Yes.
So do you feel like those children are being activated by pornography and then they're seeking around like who they can essentially...
getting. Not that
Yeah.
they're being activated like I can assault, but they're like this is what sex is, and it's gone from being this like beautiful, respectful, pleasurable experience to the normalization of BDSM, the normalization of quite physical acts that children shouldn't be aware of because they don't have the ability to understand that isn't normal, quote unquote. There is no such thing as normal, but BDSM is actually an incredibly consensual practice. It's not.
It's trust-based, right?
It's
got to
trust-based,
be.
yeah, and it's not just your everyday sex. But if that's what you're constantly being exposed to, and you're going deeper and deeper into these porn holes because you need more and more extreme stimulation every single time, you start to think, oh well, normal, quote unquote, everyday sex is choking my partner.
Yeah.
Right? And so you're a 13-year-old kid and you're losing your virginity for the first time with another 13-year-old kid and you're choking her out.
Yeah, mad.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's...
Yeah.
That was wild.
That is
wild.
But it's interesting, right? Like if you talk about what you're achieving with your app, it's like giving people this sort of the cartography of understanding themselves. If you oppose that, porn is essentially disintegrating that individual, right? Because it's an algorithmic, like stepwise. Oh, did you think about this? And before they know it, it's like they're not defining what they're searching or interacting with.
Yes.
They're being spread for novelty seeking,
Yes.
staying on the algorithm or the app, and so they will end up in a path that they never intended to, almost like hacking their brain into something where it's like you're miles away from even who you are.
Totally. And it does change your brain synapses. Like
Yeah,
it
it's
literally reprograms your brain, porn. So the antithesis to this, there's an amazing founder, entrepreneur, a woman called Cindy Gallop. And she's come up with a platform called Make Love Not Porn. And she's pro porn, but pro real life porn.
Yeah.
Right. So her platform is everyday couples filming themselves having sex and uploading it. And it's messy and it's real and it's all body shapes and it's like the awkwardness and the in between, and it's not polished entertainment of you porn or whatever that we see online.
Yeah.
It's just like real
What's the
porn.
benefit?
The benefit of it is that you get to see real sex. And there's a difference between what young people and, to be honest, adults, because we're getting more and more exposed to this kind of porn, we're losing sense of what is real life and what is purely entertainment. Like porn is entertainment.
100%.
It's the Marvel films, right? It's like you don't go through your life thinking you're a superhero, but you can enjoy it when you're sat in the cinema, and you can be like, wow, that's this incredible world that doesn't really exist, but I can enjoy it for the moment, and I'm not going to go around thinking that I'm a superhero beating people up.
I mean, apart from the beating people up,
Yeah.
you can be in the bedroom as superhero.
Oh, Michael, I
Put your
100%
cape
believe it
on,
after this
sir. Put your
conversation.
cape
Yeah.
on.
They're like that.
Hey.
You called.
You actually, I've heard about you. You wear a cape, don't you? You wear a cape.
You there?
Yeah, I was there. Peeping Tom in the corner.
We're uploading this. Yeah, but and so the way I see it is like, okay, then why aren't we really cracking down on the porn industry? Why isn't it like being hit with like we know that it's bad?
Is it bad?
I think I think it's creating problems. Would
Yeah,
be my
definitely, especially
Is
for
it a
young
net
people.
positive or net negative? I think it's making a lot of men feel lost in shame and.
But that's why they've introduced the rule of uploading your ID to.
Yeah, they have
Yeah.
recently.
websites.
I think they're
So they don't put you
trying.
on the porn database as a sexual predator from early potentially.
Oh my goodness.
Well, that could be the case.
But that could be just a curious teenager
But you can't get on.
or a
because
child.
But again, this is the
18
difficulty. Is I think
18 is the age, right? So if you're
Yeah.
uploading your ID at 18, then
It's out there.
But
It's
then
immortalized
you're
for
like the-
forever.
I know, but teenagers are the masters of
Finding
VPNs and
it.
workarounds,
Yeah.
and you know,
Yeah.
we rented 15 films when we were 12 just to kind of, you know.
Did you put on a moustache?
I didn't go in. I was tiny. I let my mates go and they're like, hello. No, it was like what, like Die Hard or something. You're like,
What-
I wanna watch
what
that
is that?
film. And you
What
go
is
to
that?
Blockbuster, but you're like, oh, I can't
Yeah,
go to
yeah,
Blockbuster.
yeah.
Your
It
mate's
should be a
like,
PG.
What is that?
To be
What's
fair,
that?
I remember when we was going into news agents and they had the top shelf of the porn magazine.
Top Shelf Terry. That's my granddad. We called him Top Shelf Terry. His name was Terry, but he always
As
used
a
to take my
young boy.
cousins to the top shelf.
We used to go in there and have a look, innit?
Yeah.
But it was curious.
Yeah, the shopkeeper would be like,
Yeah.
get the hell out of the shop. And you'd be
No, he
like,
left you in there.
Yeah, it locks you in. But the antithesis is again, education, right? It's having a conversation with the biggest educators are your parents.
Yeah.
Right. And that is what is really scary, because parents aren't qualified and probably haven't grown up in a generation where they've had really powerful and productive conversations.
Absolutely,
around sex.
yeah.
But you learn from a very young age from your parents. Like I don't know if you guys any of you have kids.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay. They're literally mini yous, aren't they?
Yeah.
They literally follow and do everything you do, and they become little mini versions of you. They learn what a healthy relationship dynamic is from you. They learn what affection looks like, what intimacy is, just from watching how you interact with your partner. You spend a little bit of time at school, you spend a little bit of time with your friends, but the majority of your childhood is spent at home.
Yeah.
Your parents are the ones that need to have conversations about sex, about love, about porn. It's hard, but if we constantly outsource that to school, they're not going to get enough of an education. They're not going to get the right
Well,
education.
they just get educated by their mates. There's always some
And
emboldened kid in the year who's
exactly.
like, do you know what I found out today?
Yeah, they've got an older brother, and they're like,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah, I had my brother and his girlfriend doing this noise, blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
Or when you walk in and your parents doing stuff as well.
yeah, or your grandparents
Yeah.
traumatizing.
Jesus, I would.
Put the female side sewn up to a certain degree of education. Is there a male alternative?
There is
Great
actually,
question.
yeah. There's a really good app called Mojo Men. And Mojo is a sex therapy app for men, basically, yeah. And it works on the psychosexual component, so the mind-body connection. Yeah.
I think that's because they probably need to work on.
I think a lot of men probably have I think they spend a lot of their time separated from brain, body. Do you know what I mean? Like we you know, if we go out and do sports which make no sense, right? It's like you break limbs and do all this. So like you're not sitting there thinking, what does my body think of this? You kind of
Boys are boys at that point.
yeah.
They do some stupid stuff.
It's really stupid stuff.
But I mean, I'm a tomboy, so I'm like, yes,
Yeah. I'm a
I'm
tomboy
one
as
of,
well.
I'm one
But do you
of
know what I
those
mean? It's
boys.
just like the moment you're injuring your body, or like I remember when I fractured my eye socket and then I fell off a motorbike a month later, broke my leg, and I was like, I just had a wake up call. Then I was like, you've got to take care of your fucking body,
Yeah.
man. This is stupid.
God, at least you had that wake up call. I kept going.
Yeah, me
I came
too.
off my mountain bike the other day and I'm like, you are 34 years old. Just chill, Bill.
It was the thrill.
It's a thrill. Yeah.
Where do you see society trending to on the back of the users you're coming at? Like they're spending some time in the app now. You're starting to see what they feel like afterwards. Like how will we see somebody who's self-aware in society and go, oh, that's somebody who knows themselves well and they've done the work?
That's a really nice question. How do we see someone that's self-aware? I think they're able to assert boundaries in a respectful and caring way.
Nice.
Right? That's one element. I think boundaries is quite like a therapized language, and we're seeing more and more of that. But people that aren't necessarily self-aware, or they're going on that journey, they can be quite harsh with how they set those things. You know, we were talking about sex a little bit earlier in terms of like, don't do this, do this. That's not a very kind and inviting way of setting a boundary. When you've done that work and when you've gone through that, you're able to assert these boundaries again in a kind and compassionate way. That means that you don't lose yourself, you're not betraying yourself, but you're still honoring the other person and what they need at the same time. So I think that's one. I think you are a very good communicator. You know, we talked about being able to disarm the other person, and you know, so much of that is learning how to respond to the dynamics that you're being met with, being able to control your emotions. Again, that's not about becoming placid and never having an emotion, but it's being able to register, right, we're not in a state right now to have a good conversation. Let's take some time out and let's come back and revisit it. It's being able to not flare to every response that comes at you and be like, look, you're obviously dealing with something. I know my self-worth. You can't break me in that way. Like, I'm going to let you just take 5, whatever. So communication again. And within that comes conflict resolution, not shying away from conflict. And then when it comes to sex, an emotionally aware person is someone that, again, is able to actually express what they want. There's so much in sex, especially for women. To really illustrate this, I had a client a few years ago. She was 50 years old. She'd been with her partner for 30 years. They got together when they were 20. She'd never had an orgasm. And for the last 10 years, she'd rolled over and cried every time they'd had sex. And he had no idea.
Wow. Why did she cry?
Because she was so disconnected from her pleasure. And she was like, I cannot believe that I'm just allowing this to continue on. I'm having sex purely for him. And I'm losing myself every single time I'm doing it.
So it's corrosive in a way.
It happens to so many women. That is, but what is it? The fact that did they go through sex therapy?
Yeah. So we went together, and then she's having amazing sex in her 50s. Amazing. And he was really understanding. He wasn't doing it deliberately. He wasn't being someone that was like trying not to bring her pleasure. She'd got in a cycle of faking orgasms for so long and pretending she was having a good time that he thought he was doing a great job.
Yeah, bless him.
And he was really open to the therapy. But so for her, you know, becoming emotionally aware, going through that work, was being able to really honestly communicate and share and open up and be vulnerable as well. And so vulnerability, I think, is another one. Is like, is this person able to bring down their walls and be vulnerable and invite you in that way as well?
I love your work. What you're doing. I think it's great for women.
Incredible.
It's fantastic.
It's just the net positive footprint of it, right? Like, what I think that probably upsets me so much about, so I've got a 6-month-old daughter, right? And it's really landed. I'm not putting all these mornings, nights, noons into loving and shaping her so she can become like the sexual chattel of some pervert, right? It's like, that to me is like, I'm really going to think about like something reckless, because it's like, you love that person so much. That's not why they're on the planet Earth. They're not there for somebody to be a drunken night's mistake that ruins 10 years of their life.
I'm telling you.
100%. How do we start to lance the boil of these institutionalized, corporatized abusers? How do we get them?
You know what? Again, it all, because some of the language that you're using there suggests that these people are bad people.
They make bad decisions.
They
may
make
not
bad decisions, exactly, and they do bad things, but not necessarily bad people. And that's a complexity of human nature.
Correct.
Is we are multifaceted, right? We
Yeah.
are good people that can do bad things,
Yeah.
and these people could be your sons, right?
True that.
Like
Could be.
so they're not. And that's also what's really hard about these things. So it's not how do I save my 6-month-old? How do I save her from these like people, these horrible men? It's not. It's how do I educate her? How do I empower her?
Yeah.
How do I give her all of the knowledge? So when it comes to sex, you're talking to her about sex, age appropriate sex education from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. By the time she gets into her sex life, she's an empowered young woman. She doesn't take shit from nobody. She's able to navigate herself through the world. She takes ownership and responsibility for her own behaviours. She doesn't need to drink herself into oblivion. You know, it's all of this. It's giving her that sense of security in herself. And you do that through loving her unconditionally. You do that through taking a backseat and allowing her to become the woman that she's going to become, and through educating her relentlessly.
Chill, Bill. Beautiful stuff.
Absolutely.
Where can people find all of your socials and find you and pick up that book? Any message for anybody? There's your camera. It's all yours.
Hello, you.
Me?
You can find us at the Ferly Method, which is TheFerly method on Instagram. And our website is www.weareferly.com. And you can sign up to Pillow Talk, which is our newsletter read by 100,000 women every single week. And the book is called Turn Yourself On. It's out in the UK and Europe and Australia at the moment. And it will be out in the US in January. And that's where you can find us. And then the app is obviously on the App Store. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for coming here today.
Yeah, this
Really
was a
lovely.
great conversation. Thank you.
And if you enjoyed that conversation, please follow us on socials as well for more content like this and hopefully more wisdom.